This is a revision to review how to find the group frequency distribution. So suppose we have this example that the score of a group of students in a course on statistics are as shown here. From these data, we want to construct a group frequency distribution table using the number of classes, which is n equal to 5. Then we want to show the relative and percent frequencies. To start grouping our classes, we have to find what we call it as range. So a range is the difference between the maximum number and the minimum number. So it will be equal to the maximum value minus the minimum value. To substitute on this formula, we have first to find what is the maximum number and what is the minimum number. So the maximum number that we can notice from this data is 49 and the minimum number is equal to 20. So let's substitute on the formula of the range. So range will be equal to maximum number, which is 49, minus a minimum number, which is 20. The range will be equal to 29. And then I'm going to divide the range divided by the number of classes, which is 5, in order to find the distance between the classes, and this is what we call it as width. So width of our classes will be equal to the range dividing by how many classes we want to distribute our data. So divided by 5, and this will be equal to 29, which is the range. So it's 29 dividing by 5, number of classes. So the width will be equal to what? It's equal to 5.8. But this is a decimal number. I cannot use a decimal number to group my classes. I have to round this data up. So I'm going to round it to the nearest next number, which will be equal to 6. So the distance between lower limit and upper limit of our classes will be 6. So now let's start to group our data. So this is our data again, okay? And I want to distribute my data within 5 classes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. To classify our data, I have to start with the minimum value. And as we say before that the minimum value is 20. So I'm going to start with 20 until the distance between 20 and the upper limit, it will be the width. So the width is equal to 6. So it will be from 20 to 26. And 20 here, this is what we call it the lower limit of the class. 26 is the upper limit. For the next class, I'm going to start with the same number of the end or the upper limit of the class before. So it will be from 26 until again I have to add the width. So add 6. I will end with 32. And I'm going to start again from 32, adding the width again. I'm going to end with 38. And from 38, adding width, you will end with 44. And the last class will be from 44 plus 6. You will end with 50. So this is how we can group our data in 5 number of classes. Now, I want to find what is the frequency. So the frequency, that means how many numbers we have it in this range. Okay, let's consider the first class. It's from 20 to 26. I want to know how many numbers I have from 20 to 26. But be careful that I cannot count the upper limit. So it's less than 26, but it's not equal to 26. Why is that? Because I'm going to group it again in the second class. So 26 will be in the second class. And the same thing for 32. I'm going to count 32 in the third class, and so on. So let's find the frequency for the first class, which is from 20 to 26. So let's find the frequency for the first class, from 20 to 26. Let's go back to our data. 28, it's not in my range. 26, it's not in my range. 20, yes, so this is one. Let me cross the data to make it easy for you. And then 23, this is another number in the same range. 32 is not. 25, yes, it's less than 26. And here we have 26. But as I said before, I cannot count 26. 49, it's not in my range. Then 36. No. 35, it's not. 22, yes. 24, yeah, it's in my range. Again 26, I'm not going to count 26. 23, it's in my range. Then 32, 37, 33, 34, 35, 36, 42, 28, all of them are not in the same range. So we are going to search only for the numbers which located from 20 to 26. So I have here again 25, and that's it. So now let's count how many numbers we have here. So it's 20, 23, 25, 23 here, 24 here, 22 and 25. So how many numbers totally we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the frequency for the first group is equal to 7, and I have to apply the same thing for the second class. So let's do it for the second class from 26 to 32. So 28, 26, again 26, 26 here, but be careful, 32, I will not count it. 28 here, 29, again 28, 26, 28 and 26. So now, let's count our numbers. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So the frequency is equal to 11 numbers. So the same thing I'm going to do it for class number 3. We want to search for numbers which is in the range from 32 to 38. So let's do it again together. So it will be 34 here, 36, 35, 32, 37, 33, 35, 34, 36, 36, 33, 34, 33, 34, 33, 34, 37. Now let's count how many numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. So the frequency is equal to 17 numbers for the third class. What about class number 4? From 38 to 44. 38 to 44. So we have 42, 43 and that's it. So we have only 2 numbers in the range from 38 to 44. So for the last class, which is from 44 to 50, how many numbers we have on this range? So it will be this number 49, 44 and 47. So we have only 3 numbers. Frequency is equal to 3. Then what is the summation of all the numbers or all the frequencies? I have to sum all these numbers. 7 plus 11 plus 17 plus 2 and plus 3. This will be equal to 40. And you can be sure by recount again how many numbers you have. Then you will find that is equal to 40. Now, part B of our question is to show the relative frequency and percent frequency. So, relative frequency is equal to what? This is the relative frequency. Relative frequency is the frequency of the class divided by the summation of all frequencies. Let's do it for the first class. So the frequency for the first class is equal to 7. So 7 dividing by summation of all frequencies is equal to 40. And this will be equal to 0.175. So let's rewrite it again on the table. So it's equal to 0.175. And the same thing I will do it for the second class. So the frequency here is equal to 11. So it will be 11 dividing by 40, which will be equal to 0.275. Then for the third class, it will be 17 dividing by 40, which will be equal to 0.425. For class number 4, 2 dividing by 40 will give you 0.05. And for class number 5, which is the last class, I have 3 frequencies here. So 3 dividing by 40 will be equal to 0.075. And be sure the relative frequencies or the summation of all the relative frequencies will give you 1. Because if you divide 40 by 40, it will give you 1. Now, what about percent frequencies? Percent, from its name, it's a percentage. So I want to represent relative frequencies as percentage. So its a percent frequency is equal to the relative frequency for the class multiplied by 100%. So you will end with a percentage. So for the first class, again I'm going to apply it only for the first class. So the relative frequency is equal to 0.175 multiplied by 100%. You will end with 17.5%. So let's do it again for all the classes. So this will be equal to 17.5, and the second class just multiply 0.0275 by 100, you will end with 27.5%. And for the third class, it will be equal to 42.5%. For the fourth class, this will be equal to 5% only. And for the last class, the relative frequency is equal to 0.075, so the frequency will be equal to 7.5. And if you find the summation of all percent frequency, you will end with 100%. So this is how can we group our data in a number of classes as mentioned here, which is equal to 5, and we explained how can we classify our data in 5 number of classes. And again, I'm going to say that you have to start with the minimum value and then add the value of the width until you classified how many numbers of classes. To find a relative frequency, just you have to apply this formula, that the relative frequency equal to the frequency dividing by the total number of frequencies. And for the percent frequency, you have again to apply this formula, that the percent frequency, just you have to multiply relative frequency by 100 and then fill your tables. That's it, and good luck.